Time to cry, City. Time to cry. Today is a very good day. Real Madrid beat Manchester City 5-1 on aggregate. Yesterday, Vini scored a brace and he reminded them why he's one of the best players in the world. Europe, he really put Europe on notice and he showed his quality. Although he missed a couple chances, he had a solid performance and the whole team of Real Madrid showed why they're a threat in the Champions League, although they haven't been on the best form in the league. As you could see with Real Madrid, their lineup was pretty different as what you could see because Rodrigo is out with an ACL injury for the rest of the season, and Mbappe had a slight knee injury that was keeping him out of the starting 11, and he didn't play the first leg, and he was on the bench. He made the squad. He was fit enough to make the squad. Also in the midfield, we played Thiago instead of Camavinga because Camavinga, I think he also came back from injury. So we had a lot of injuries, and also Fran Garcia played at Mendy's spot because of an injury, and you could see this Madrid squad is really struggling with a lot of injuries, and they haven't had a very consistent lineup. This could be a problem in the next rounds of the Champions League, but Vini, Chouameni, Valverde, Arda, and Rudiger were key players for the squad, alongside with Courtois, who also made a lot of big saves in this game. But because of the way the first leg went, and we had used Valverde's side, Madrid had to switch it up a bit and try to use and get Vini Jr. a bit more involved into the attacks because we knew that the only way Madrid could get something out of this game would be through counterattacks, and that's how Madrid decided to execute the game. For City, they tried to put Shirky into the lineup to try to bring in some creativity. Reinders and Doku were also some key factors and very important players in this game. And Haaland, we already know Haaland's quality as a number nine. He was always going to be a threat in this game, although it didn't pan out to be one of his best performances, but Haaland is always a threat no matter what team he plays against. In this sequence, I think it's Valverde or Arda who has the ball, and he sees space in behind because of the way the City defenders are flat footed and kind of caught ball watching. Vinny Jr. tries to use the width of the pitch, and he does this very often. He gets as wide as possible and tries to attack the space in behind, and Valverde sees his intention and plays the ball through into the red danger area behind the defenders. And he knows Vinny Jr. has the pace and the momentum to get and to understand what place he has to be. And he weighs the ball properly just for Vinny to get there in time and try to start something that could end up being a goal. So after getting to the area, Vinny Jr. does not properly angle his body, but he still has a second opportunity to get a shot on target, and he hits the post and it bounces off, but Real Madrid gets the ball back. So Brahim Diaz hustles and keeps the ball into play. He crosses it in to Vinny Jr., who's wide open, and City defenders are pretty much caught ball watching because they're all trying to recover and they're not really aware of their surroundings, and they're just following the ball instead of trying to have a proper situation. But this is understandable because they're all recovering, and they're just trying to make a defensive stop. So the ball gets to Vinny after Brahim's pass, and then Vinny volleys it, but Bernardo handballs it. In my opinion, it's a penalty, but it's a pretty soft red card because you could see Bernardo has his hands behind his back, but it still does hit his hand, and it's a very unfortunate situation for him because I think this is really when the downfall of City started to happen. So this is a goal. So last time, Vini didn't do his usual run up, and this time he went for a more smooth, and he kind of shot like in his natural rhythm. Like this is one thing with penalty takers. If you're used to having a little stutter step and that's kind of what you do and what works for you, you should go for the technique and the approach that helps you get into the zone, because you want to angle your body the best way and you want to go for a feel and for some sort of repetition. Although like the penalty is an exercise that even if you shoot it properly, if the goalie jumps right, he could get it. But forwards have more a higher probability of scoring than goalkeepers. So it's all about staying calm, concise, and trying to be as precise as you can. And this is what Vinny does. He executes the penalty to a T. Donnarumma jumps on the wrong side and he slots the goal. Let's talk a bit about Vinny Jr.'s celebration. People always talk about footballers and they always talk about Vinny in a negative way, and they're always trying to say that Vinny is negative and that he should fix his behavior or change the way he is. But I think that he's perfectly fine. Football needs these type of villains. Like when the fans were out there booing him or trying to make fun of him last year for missing out on the Ballon d'Or, he had to be silent and he had to just hug it. But now that he's back on top, now that he's back in form, like he gets to do what he wants. Like shithousery has its place in football, and it's something that like makes the game better. It makes it fun to watch, and also it just like makes it more intense. Like it's true that football is football. You need to have quality and you need to be able to back it up. And this is what Vinny does. He's the owner of Manchester City. I don't know how many times he scored against them. I think now he's tied it's his favorite Champions League opponent alongside with Liverpool. He has 7 GA against Liverpool and 7 GA against Manchester City. I know a lot of his Champions League moments are tied with this club, and he's really their owner. He always knocks them out. He knocked them out last year. He knocked them out a couple of years before. I remember in 2022, Vinny knocked them out, and he was really an essential like player in that lineup. Like he always scores against City. I remember one time in the first leg he scored a nice banger, and this is really one of Vinny's like favorite opponents. Like they don't really have an answer for him. Back in the day when Kyle Walker was around, Manchester City like could kind of slow down Vinny because Kyle Walker could keep up, but now they don't really have a fullback that could keep up with Vinny's pace and trickery. And this is something that Manchester City needs to work on, and they need to try to go and start scouting for players that could stop guys like Vinny, because that you need that type of defender if you want to go far in Europe and you want to win the Champions League once more. Okay, so in this sequence, you see I think Ryan Cherky has the ball and he's getting pressed by Chouameni. Real Madrid is trying to come back and defend. The form is not the greatest, the spacing is not the best, but they're still trying to be compact. Rudiger jumps out of the back line and tries to anticipate and tries to help Chouameni on the press. This is very risky because there's a lot of space in between Trent and Housen, and this is a risk because like you usually need to keep small spaces between your defenders, and you want to keep it as compact as possible. And also uh Arnold Trent isn't facing like the game. He has his back against Doku, so he doesn't really see what type of run he's gonna make and can't anticipate the decision. So Shirky decides to pass it out to Howson because he's getting pressed very heavily. So Reinders, after getting the ball from Shirky, sees an open passing lane that Rudiger left open, and Doku understands the run he has to make. Trent is flat-footed and can't make it to stop Doku. Also, Dean isn't covering and isn't like tucking in to come in behind for Rudiger. His spacing and his awareness isn't very good on display. Doku could have had a shot on goal, but he didn't curve his run. This is something that I think he should work on, and it would really help him be more clinical in front of goal. But also, I think they have like instructions to try and shoot as close as possible and try and square it to Haaland. Yeah, so Doku decides to square it to Haaland in the 6 yard box and creates a high percentage scoring opportunity. Yeah, so the keeper makes a big save and Real Madrid clears the ball. Yeah, this is really one of Real Madrid's strengths, like going up on the counter. Like Chouameni clears the ball. I think it's Brahim like fights for it, wins the first ball and then the second ball and then plays it on to Vini. And now Vini is in a 1v1 situation with Ruben Diaz, who does not have his pace and can't really cope with that type of situation. So Vinny angles himself properly and he creates a shooting opportunity, but he kind of hesitates for a moment. If Vinny fixed this, I think that he could score 40 goals per season because he really has the quality, the pace, the physical attributes, the technical attributes, and he knows how to put himself in those danger areas. But the thing he needs is to be calmer in front of goal and to be able to make advantage and take advantage of those situations. And I think he could improve, and he's still young. He's only 24, 25. Like I think by the time he's 30, he'll probably be in a better like state of mind in front of goal. So this is another situation where Real Madrid are on the counterattack. Arda Güler has high IQ. He understands the player he is. He doesn't have the pace to go in behind the defender. It would probably make him the defender will probably be able to force him wide. So he understands that he needs to wait for one of his teammates. He sees Vini and he knows Vini has the capability and the pace to get in behind the defenders. So Vini sees the space, Arda sees the space. Vini has the pace to run into that space, and this is what they do. So Arda Guler plays in a nice ball for Vinny Jr. in behind the defenders. It was a nice weighted ball, and Vinny times his run to T right behind the the defenders, so he's not on onside. He keeps himself onside, which is very good. There's a couple opportunities where he was offside in this game, but he was he timed it perfectly and he got to the right spot. Like we said before, he missed this opportunity, but he got to the right spot and he had the right movement and the right intentions. But one thing he needs to probably improve is to not go down to the floor so fast when he's shooting or finishing in front of the goal. Like Ronaldo would always stay up and he would be balanced and he'd be able to control where the ball was gonna go. But when Vinny has this tendency to go down when he shoots, he loses control and balance and the ability to know exactly where the ball is gonna go. We gotta talk about this guy Brahim. So Brahim came back from AFCON. He missed a penalty in the finals, and it was very unfortunate for him. And I think he didn't get a lot of opportunities to start games or to integrate himself into the starting lineup. But in this like home and away city fixture, Brahim has really shown his quality with his assists, with his flair, his dribbling, and just his impact. And I think that he might just be better than Prime Hazard if he keeps it up. Like this is some rated R stuff. Like there's no way he could be putting like a great defender like Ruben Diaz like on his backside. Like he's showing him like how to play football. Like Ait Nouri, all these players, like he's just giving them a lesson of football. This is the next level. This is a very top performance by Brahim. Here you see a high IQ decision by Reinders. He takes the corner quick and he plays it into Ait Nouri. So in the sequence, Ryan Ait Nouri passes it to Tijani Reinders. Reinders sees the pocket of space where he could slip a ball in through to Doku. So Doku sees this opportunity. He attacks his space. He receives the ball. He uses his strength to hold off the defender, and he has an explosive ability. He has an explosivity that is very like a special asset for him in this situation. He explodes past the defender. He blows right past him. He also uses his strength, and then now he's left with two options. He could either do a cutback cross or cross it into the 6 yard box. He has a good choice, and he chooses to cross it to Haaland in the six, and Haaland has a easy tap in. Although it's a pretty easy tap in, it's a hard skill to execute. It takes a lot of timing and great positioning to be able to be at the right spot at the right time and to score these tap ins. This is why Haaland gets paid the money he gets paid, and this is why he's a world class striker. In this sequence of play, Rodri switches the ball to Doku to try and change the side where the game is played because Doku has a very high usage rate and he's very effective in launching City's attack, and they'll probably have a better shot at creating something on his side. This is very smart from Rodri to try and break Real Madrid's low block. So Madrid's low block is pretty compact and it's pretty solid, but that switch that Rodri did opened a gap behind Trent and Rudiger. Like as I spoke about this before, defenders need to have proper spacing, and Rudiger and Trent don't have proper spacing, and Doku sees this and he sees space in behind, space where he can explode and create something out of nowhere. Haaland is also in a great position. He understands that Doku is driving with the ball. He could do a blindside run onto Rudiger's blind side, or he could try to go far post. He's in a very good position. Also, Ait Nouri could either overlap or underlap, but since Doku is already wide, it's smarter for him to do an underlap. And the rest of City's players need to just be as wide as they can and try to stretch out the defense of Real Madrid as much as they can. So Doku decides to cross it after Ait Nouri underlaps, and Haaland decides to do a double movement and come back to get a one-time shot. So the snapshot by Haaland gets saved by Lunin, which is a pretty good. It was a pretty good save. It was a big save for the goalkeeper. In this next phase of play, I think Ryan Shirky has the ball and sees space in behind. He sees that Valverde, Fran Garcia, and and Brahim are not defenders, and that they caught Real Madrid in transition, and he sees a lot of space in behind, and that Doku is fast enough to get into that danger area, and Doku understands this and understands that he has to try and curve his run to get in behind and have a 1v1 with the goalkeeper. So Doku understands his task. The ball is perfectly well slipped in and well weighed, but it's offside because of the whole timing and execution. I think he held on to the ball too long before making the pass, which delayed Doku's run. And Brahim did a good job also to keep him offside. Doku had a nice finish. He slotted it first post, and this is some a situation where he could score multiple goals and do damage in the future. So Mbappe is back from injury. He had a couple decent good actions. He hasn't found he's not at his full game fitness yet, but it will be very interesting like to see how he'll perform after this international break and if he'll be able to hit his heights. In this sequence of play, Carvajal plays the ball to Chouameni, and Chouameni crosses it one time into a danger area right behind Mark Gahey, and Vini understands the the run he has to make in behind the defender. Mark Gahey is and the rest of City's defense is caught off guard. They're not really paying attention to what's going on, and Vinny is just quicker on his feet and has a better read for the game and gets into that area. So Vinny uses his instep to try and just glide the ball into the corner. So this is a world class goal from Real Madrid, and hopefully we can see them scoring more goals like this. And this would be a very good thing if Vinny started working on these type of finishes. Maybe if he improves his finishing, I could see a future where he plays striker, and this could be very interesting for the team if, for example, Mbappe could go wide and Vini could play striker at some point in time. It would be very beneficial for Real Madrid to have players that could interchange positions. Yep, it's pretty sad for City. It's time for them to cry. I mean, the City fans made fun of Vini the whole of last year when he didn't get to win the Ballon d'Or, but now who has the last laugh? Vini is the boss of City. He like Vini. He came. He saw. He conquered. Vini Divici. I mean, you know, he's just a general. Like I think this is his favorite opponent in the Champions League alongside Liverpool. He has 7 GA against both, and there's a chance I think Madrid could still verse Liverpool, and probably Vini will get a goal or an assist against them. But yeah, this is the good sweet and sound and the good sweet feeling of revenge. Vinny got his get back, and we love to see it. Football is nothing without banter, and football is nothing without a bit of shithousery, and it's very good to see things like this happening in today's game. We have to talk about Vinny Jr.'s influence to the game. At this point, we're halfway through the decade, and we can fairly say that Vinny Jr. has become the new Mr. Champions League. I don't think a player has scored or assisted more goals in the knockout stages of the Champions League since the decade started, other than Vinny. He's already won 2 Champions League this decade. He's really one of those players that are marking our decade. and it's time for us to give his flowers, to give him his flowers and give him the respect he deserves. He's world class. Although we all know Vini could reach a next level, he is Mr. Champions League. He's the guy like that shows up on the big nights, and hopefully there's more nights like this where he keeps on shining bright. So keep on shining. This guy is cold. This guy, he's really the guy he thinks he is. He's really tough, and good luck with the rest of the competition. So here, after the game, Pep Guardiola made a statement saying that Real Madrid hasn't been his biggest challenge and that Liverpool was his biggest challenge, but which is a fair statement because Pep, when he played against Liverpool, they had their interesting battles like that they push each other like to go to and win the Prem with like 100 points, and it was one of the first times that Premier League clubs got to 100 points, and it's a fair statement to say, but I think you can't really argue you can't really argue that Madrid hasn't been a challenge because when a team knocks you out of the Champions League 3 times in a row, it's pretty devastating to say that they're not a challenge. Also, I'd like to congratulate Brahim Diaz for winning the African Cup. I don't know like if it was the right call by the African the CAF. I don't know if it was the right thing to do, but if they decided to award this victory to Morocco, then it's probably the right thing to do. But it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me. But I'm still happy for Brahim. He had a good tournament, other than the miss pen. He was the top scorer. He was one of the best players, and it was a solid tournament on his behalf. So now, let's talk about Arbeloa. Arbeloa, as a player, he had a decent career. He won trophies. He was a solid player on his teams where he played. But as a manager now, like as soon as he got his chance, he kind of proved people that he was able to calm a dressing room, to kind of like work with different pieces. He doesn't try to change the players, but he tries to do some fine tuning. I think Arbeloa is the only manager to have beaten Pep Guardiola and Mourinho home and away in the knockout rounds of the Champions League. And this is a big testament to his statement. It's true he has some great players on his team, but you still have to go and do it and have a proper some proper lineup, some proper strategies to go and do it. For the Champions League, I think Real Madrid will have a difficult battle against Bayern, and I don't know if they have a finals or a semi-final run in them, but let's see. We don't know. Like Real Madrid, you can never count them out. I think Kylian Mbappe, if he gets back in form, he will be breaking Ronaldo's 17 goals in one Champions League campaign this year because he's already at 13 goals, and we know like he's really determined to be unanimously like he's determined to be unanimously determined as the like GOAT, as the best of his generation, as the greatest player of all time and the best player in the world. And regardless of if he achieves that or not, I think that Mbappe, by beating this record, by winning the Champions League, he there will be no more debate on who's the best player in the world. And from then onwards, he will just rack up individual accolades. So, okay, thank you guys for watching. please like, comment, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Have a nice one. Take care. Bye bye.